Hiya! Welcome! This is edition number
48.
and there's still plenty more to come over the coming weeks, months and years really, I guess. Touch wood. But on to today's album, and we're going to look once again at a band we've already covered on the series before, but I've not covered any of their studio albums yet. The first time I reviewed them for Minidisc Monday was their B-sides and kind of rarities compilation, Super Black Market Clash, and then in more recent times I also looked at their live album From Here to Eternity. But today we're going to look at the very first eponymous debut studio album from The Clash. So this originally came out in 1977. Obviously this mini disc was a good 2 decades or more later. Apparently recorded for around £4,000, which, although still sounds like a lot of money, and is a lot of money even in today's money, I think at the time to get an album out, promoted, etc. was quite cheap apparently. Before I talk about the album and my thoughts on it, of course, we'll have a look at the case and the contents. So it's got this nice little Clash restored, remastered 99 hype sticker on it. Unfortunately, not all of my Clash mini discs have that, but this one does. There's 3 members of the Clash on the front there. The drummer, Terry Chimes, or Tory Crimes, as I believe he was credited on this. He'd left the band by the time this came out, and he'd not yet been replaced by Topper Head. So, a little look at the booklet, if you can call it a booklet. It's just a 4-pager. It's got the track listing, some credits, production stuff, who's in the band, bit of copyright bump there, and sort of meant to look like a kind of fanzine or newspaper cutout really. The disc itself, there we go. Album artwork on that side. Track listing and boring stuff on the back. At the back of the holder for the disc here, we've got a shot of 3 of the Clash members apparently being arrested. A little look at the back there. So I've got more Clash on Minidisc than any other artist, to be honest. I do own 9 Clash Minidiscs, basically everything that you could get on MD for this group when the 1999 Minidisc reissue campaign started. So a lot of Clash still to cover on this series. So getting into it with track number 1, Janie Jones. That's a very well-known and popular song in Clash fan circles, obviously, and I like it as well. It's a strong album opener and one of the strongest tracks on the album for me. Number 2, Remote Control. I think that came out as a single. I don't think the single did brilliantly well. A little bit weak for me. I wouldn't have picked that as a single myself. I think there was better tracks on this album, but that's just my opinion. I'm So Bored with the USA comes next, which is kind of ironic really, given that the Clash were probably, I wouldn't say the only, but probably the main punk rock band from the UK to actually have a modicum of success in the US. I mean, they toured the United States extensively. White Riot, another very famous and memorable track, comes next. I think it was, I don't know if it was the Clash's debut single. It may have been the debut for CBS, which was their label at this point. Great stuff. Hate and War comes next, and then What's My Name, which has an asterisk next to it. That's meant to indicate that it was written by someone other than Jones or Strummer, and that was written by early Clash member Keith Levine, who had left the band a long time ago at this point, but he would go on to form Public Image Limited with John Lydon. A little bit simplistic, that one. It sounds like an early demo and something that doesn't quite fit with the rest of the album, to be honest. Deny comes next, and then London's Burning. I mean, this is some very political stuff, as you would expect from the Clash, Joe Strummer in particular, of course. You know, he has a lot to say about the government, about the country, and that moves over into the next track, Career Opportunities, which is about unemployment. You know, that's very late 1970s topic of discussion in media and cultural circles. Then we go on to Cheat. Next is Protex Blue, which is a song about a brand of contraceptive, and it's got the shout of Johnny Johnny at the end, which isn't a shout out to Johnny Rotten, but rather just reminding people, particularly international listeners, I suppose, a nickname for a condom over here. Police and Thieves, a cover of the reggae track, is next. I remember the original because it's on the soundtrack for Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels. The original is much better. I mean, the Clash were big reggae fans, and their reggae influences would certainly shine through more in subsequent albums that we will get to talk about eventually. This one just kind of sounds like a straight up punk track. You wouldn't necessarily realise it was a cover. I'm just looking to see who originally recorded it. Junior Mervyn, I think, was his name, and it was co-written by the legendary reggae artist Lee Perry. So Police and Thieves, fairly competent stab at it, but the original is better. Penultimate track on the album is 48 Hours, and finishes with a very angry track, Garage Land, which apparently was a response to a bad review the Clash got early on in their career. What do I think about this album? I don't know, it kind of lacks something for me. I mean, it's very raw, it's probably the most raw and punky, for want of a better term, the Clash would ever sound, but I know they've done better. As I say, I've got all their albums, their studio albums, Cut the Crap I've even got, and I do have that on CD, so that won't get reviewed for this series. Ultimately, it's a little forgettable, this album, for me. I think the production is a bit weak, but then again, it was done on the cheap, or cheapish. And I think they certainly had plenty to say politically, you know, with their opinions and everything. There's a lot to sort of listen to and soak up on this album, but musically, it just kind of lacks something for me. So while it's a strongish opener, and for its time, for the heyday of punk rock, 1977, I can see why this is a much loved album and much respected in that genre. For me, I know the Clash have done better, so their album, The Clash, for me, is a very mild recommendation, but if you're only going to listen to one Clash album, you're best off probably getting one of the compilations. Bit of a spoiler there, I've also got a couple more compilations of theirs on Minidisc, so loads of Clash to get through, but I'm trying to space all this out. Anyway, that was Minidisc Monday looking at The Clash by The Clash. I want to say special thanks to everyone for watching, and of course to my wonderful subscribers and generous patrons. I'm going to go now, and please join me again in 2 weeks' time for Minidisc Monday edition number
49.
We keep on trucking. Cheers, everyone. See ya!